Dustin, while we have you, we just talked about Conor, obviously a ton with the fight last night with Holloway. Great promoter that he's been, as we've been saying. Another future great promoter, maybe Paddy Pimblett. Can we just get your thoughts real quick? We know you were in there, took care of business in 2 rounds versus BSD. Just what'd you think of that fight watching Pimblett last night?
I was telling I know it's easy for me to say now because I never put it out there on the internet, but I thought Paddy was going to beat him. I did. Um, I thought everywhere BSD was good, his grappling, his wrestling, Paddy had answers for, and I thought Paddy was probably the better striker. Definitely has a better, a great chin. He showed that in the Gaethje fight. I thought Paddy was going to win. I wasn't really surprised that he won. I was more surprised that he put him out the way he did with that choke. That was a tight, crazy choke to finish in the gym, but I've never seen it finished like that in a whole bunch of mixed martial arts fights and live competition. That's a tough choke to finish in a real fight.
What choke was that? Was it like a combination choke? I saw something. He was calling it like a Peruvian necktie or something.
No, that wasn't a Peruvian necktie. It was almost like a guillotine, like you lock a rear naked choke. So he had the arm around the neck, one over the arm, but instead of grabbing like a guillotine and cutting it off, he grabbed his own bicep. It's almost like a Darce choke, but he pulled guard with it. It's one of the tightest chokes you can get caught in.
He kind of ran into it, didn't he, a little bit? I mean, he kind of put himself...
And that hard-nosed fighting style, BSD is reckless sometimes. He dives in like we were talking, or like a kamikaze. He'll run right into you with no your submission threats. And that's what he did. Overzealous, trying to get a big win. He'll be back. BSD will be back, though.
Yeah, I mean, he put, used the term guillotine. He put his head right on the block without anybody in black hoods pulling him over there to put his head on the block. Yeah. It's like he walked in, all right, here.
Right, just the total disrespect for Paddy's offensive jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, 100%. You know what you just said about you felt that he was going to win, Paddy. I felt the same way. But I'll tell you why I'm not as smart as you in this game of MMA, obviously not even close, and as versed as you are with all the different, obviously techniques and everything else, especially with the grappling and the stuff on the floor. But I told my son and talked about this, he's going to win this fight because of the Gaethje fight, because of the fight he lost. He's going to get better from that fight. I know you got better from fights like that. I said he's going to grow. He is going to grow from that fight, just like you grew from the first Conor fight, and time went on, you became a different person, more seasoned. But more than just that, I felt that in the Gaethje fight, Pimblett he's a talented kid. He's strong. He's talented. All that. Obviously, he's a great promoter too. And he's got a great confidence. But he had never been in the deepest end of the pool yet. He had never been. Gaethje had. He had with you. Gaethje had. Gaethje had been, forget about the deep end of the pool. Gaethje had been in the ocean. Gaethje had questions answered about himself that Pimblett still didn't have answered. And to me, that's the most important thing. I think that happened to Poirier, to be honest with you, against Gaethje. That he was a great talent. He was destroying great fighters. He was doing all that. But he had never truly been tested in the deep end of the pool. He never really had to overcome something and depend on more than just his talent, on what he is. Well, he didn't have to answer to what, can I depend on myself if my talent's not enough? Can I? And fighters need to know that. People need to know that in all walks of life. And I felt that Pimblett got the questions to those answers in the Gaethje fight that he didn't have. I can depend on myself. Yeah, I can swim with the sharks and still come on. Yeah, I can go into the deep end and not drown. Yeah, I can. And even though he lost, he won in that fight, and he was going to be a better fighter for what he learned about himself. How do you feel about that, Dustin?
I think you're right. You know, like going into that fight, that was a question of mine. Is he a dog? Can he come back from adversity? Is he a front runner? Is all this whole show just him saying, selling the fight and having these performances? Is that making him into the star?
Scouser.
But he showed up and found out he can trust himself. When it gets dark, he can trust himself. And that's huge for a fighter. And that's huge because I didn't believe it in him. I didn't know if he had it. He showed it to me. So now when he goes into fights, I know what kind of fighter he is. He's got grit. He can get bloody. He can get battered and come out but try to win the next round. Yeah, I think he proved that to himself and to the fans that night he fought Gaethje.
Yeah, I agree. I really forget about this stat, technical, this stat, condition, all that. I just felt I had no doubt. I told my son, I said, he's going to win this fight. He's going to win this fight because he has gotten questions answered that have to be answered to go to that next place, no matter how talented you are. And to know that what you said, to know you could go into a dark place and you can get out, to know you could go into a dark place and find light, to know that. You have to be able to know that. And you have to go through something very difficult to find that out. And to Poirier, to me, the same thing happened. He had never been tested. He had never been taken to those dark places. Great talent. Matter of fact, his talent was the reason he never went to those dark places, because he didn't have to. Because he was blowing people, kind of like Mike Tyson at his best. He didn't have to go to those dark places until he fought Buster Douglas and then Evander Holyfield, because his talent was blowing people out. He didn't have to get those questions asked to him. And when Poirier did, he was broken down by Gaethje. At the end of the day, Gaethje broke him down because he was tougher in those areas. And like I said, I felt that Pimblett would benefit. You know who's a boxer who benefited from that, Dustin? Years ago, one of my favorite fighters, Sugar Ray Leonard. When he fought Duran the first time, he was an Olympic gold medalist. He was undefeated. He was a great, great talent. He had a great smile. He was doing, very few fighters or boxers were doing commercials. He was doing 7-Up commercials. He was a star. And you could see his talent. There was no hiding it. But we didn't know what was behind that talent. We didn't know what else was there. Kind of like you see that shiny car in the lot. But you got to open up the hood and find out what's under the hood. It looks beautiful. It looks great. But what's under the hood? What's going to happen when it's on the highway being pushed and it's going through rugged places? And when he fought Duran and he lost, but he fought him the way he did, he became a better fighter. He became a better fighter. And he got the answers to the questions about what you all need, to know that he could depend on himself, that he could trust himself, that he could go to those places. And I'll tell you another thing that happened. The fans loved him more. They loved him more because before they didn't trust. Is he willing to bleed? Is he willing to suffer? Is he really a fighter? Is he willing to behave like a? We know he's fast. We know he's talented. We know that all that stuff. But can we embrace him as a real fighter? And after that, they said, yeah, we can. He's not just a talented guy, good-looking, pretty boy.
Right. And the only place to that question is in the ring, in the fire. You have to be in some kind of hard fight to answer that question. You can talk the talk and say you're this guy, say you're the badass, say you're the warrior. But until you see your own blood and push through and find a way to win or find a way to fight yourself back into the fight, that's the only time you can answer that question. So that's why we love this so much. That's why we love combat sports so much, because there are not too many things in life that you could only prove right there on the spot when that bell rings.